You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I'll like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. With you, the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains, and I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. With you, all we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. And we will rise, we'll rise, we'll rise.
Hello. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Oh, what a lovely bunch. What an awesome bunch. Welcome to our front room, live and direct, coming at you.
Also known on a Saturday evening as the LUF Lounge, and we have got a lineup for you tonight. Tonight is a special night, so I'd ask you to hit the share button, hit the like button, because this is going to be streamed live and direct via YouTube into HMP Garth and HMP Wymont.
Oh, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome.
So not only will we have lots of community activity, lots of guys with hope and inspiration on the screen, we'll have a bit of a captive audience.
Do you know, I'm feeling a little like there's a lot of men in the room, and we're going to stream live into the men's prison. I'm kind of wondering, where's the women at? Where are you, Paula?
We did.
I thought Paula was coming on.
We did have someone from the Prison Reform Trust, Paula.
It's okay, I've got this.
Yeah, so it looks like you're on it tonight.
I'll
you're representing
for the
babe.
women, yes.
So this is the beautiful Emma Daggers.
Good evening. And this is the beautiful Peter Yarwood.
Good evening. And we've got a whole lineup of guests. So
let's jump right in.
Yeah, let's do a quick round of introductions and tell us your name, but tell us something about yourself using the first letter of your name. So I'm Pete, and I'm producing some content that raises awareness. So Peter, the producer. Emma.
Come back to me.
I can think of
No, I was just thinking of you, actually, beginning with P.
Okay.
Because you're quite prudent as well, aren't you?
Mm.
You're quite prudent
Thank
and
you.
proper.
Thank you.
Prudent proper producing peeve.
Oh, eminent Emma.
Yeah.
Eminence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be yours on the front of that.
Can you think of a letter to describe yourself using the first letter of your name?
Empowering.
Ka-ching. Aye. Empowering Emma. Yeah, that fits.
Yeah.
That fits.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, what about Ben? Ben, are you with
You
us?
look so happy, Ben.
Brother Ben. Unmute yourself, Brother Ben. You're...
It gives a smile, goddammit. Hey, baby.
Right, I'll have to ask
I've said
him.
this. Oh,
Right.
This is the quote of the year. Are you listening?
I'm asking him to
Listen.
unmute. Yeah.
You're on mute.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Ben,
So you want me to introduce myself?
yeah, and tell us something about you using the first letter of your name.
All right. Well, my name is Ben, and I'm a brother. How's that?
Absolutely.
I'm a brotherly sort of dude.
Nice one,
Yeah.
Brother Ben. And
And we love you, Ben.
Even though I'm old enough to be your father, I'm still brotherly.
and do you think any of the lads in prison will have come across you, Ben, before?
Well, I have been a part of the chaplaincy at Strangeways for about 20 of the last 30 years. I was also in the period that I wasn't in Manchester, I was in LA. I don't think there'll be anybody from LA County Jail tonight, but I suppose there will be a few people in Garth and Wymont that I've known over the years. I hope so. If they are, it's good. I hope to see you again, but out and in recovery.
Absolutely.
Yeah, nice
Yeah,
one.
man.
Well, we'll come back to you shortly, Ben. Thanks for that.
And seeing as how this is a prison specific, guys, any of our guys out there in the community who want to comment, who want to ask any questions to the guys or get a message out there to the lads,
Yeah.
then comment, get it in. We're going to be running out of time. We've got an hour and a half, so get it in.
And I'm going to try and multitask. So hit the
Lovely.
like and share button. Pick someone to introduce them.
Oh, spoiled for choice. Are you asking me to make a decision?
Yeah.
Right. Let's have the twins.
Right, we're unmuted.
Yay!
Right, Dominic, and tonight, without being too overconfident, I'm going to deliver.
Yes, yes.
Delivering Dom.
Deliver in hope.
With the hope shot, because there's a hope.
Hope dealers.
Yes.
I'm Dynamite Dave. Oh, that's what I'd like to be, but really, I'm Diplomatic Dave. Always looking at the devil's advocate. What if?
Yeah, and we need.
Thought about it this way.
And you're gonna share a bit of your experience, guys. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived in Chorley for about, I don't know, I reckon about 7 years of my life I lived in Chorley. That was about over 4 years in Garth and about 3 years in Wymont altogether. You remember?
Yeah.
So I think I could actually get on the housing list and have a local connection. You remember?
I was going to say then, no, you didn't. I never saw you, but he meant in the prison, right?
It means in the two fine establishments.
Yes.
We're going to come back and hear a bit more about,
great to see you
about
guys.
Okay. We've got a band up there in the corner, haven't we?
Thank God.
Coming in all the way from Castlefield. Unmute yourself and give us a quick soundbite who you are, guys.
A cappella style.
Starting. All right, I'm Simon. I'm simple, but I'm sober. Simple Simon. Yeah, my name's Mitchell, and I'm a musician, apparently.
My name's Danny, and I'm dedicated to recovery.
Yes, brother. Yes, I'm showy, and I need a shower.
Great
Together
stuff.
we are called
Booze and soil.
Soil. We're Booze and Soil.
I love that. Is that like an acronym for Susan Boyle?
Susan Boyle ain't got no on us.
Brilliant.
I can't wait. Awesome, lads, awesome.
And you guys are all in the same accommodation, supporting one another to be the best you can be.
That's right, the Reflections House in Castleford. It's awesome.
So if you're looking for your next steps when you come out of prison, those guys in Castleford are really making it happen with each other. So we'll come back to you for some music shortly, guys. Is that all right?
You're breaking up slightly.
We'll come back to you shortly for some music.
Cheers, mate.
Brecking up, that's Castleford thing, Brecking, is it?
Yeah, break 'em up.
Breck 'em up.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi signal's not very good.
But you're going to sound awesome, lads. You're going to sound awesome. Oh, look who's just popped in. Kevin Henderson in the house.
I'm going to smash it.
Yes, Kevin.
Unmute yourself and say hi, Kev.
Right, guys. Yeah, sorry I'm late. I just got in the house. Just running late. Been in Preston all day.
So what you need to do is introduce yourself.
All right, David, Dominic. See you walk down there. Yeah, so my name's Kevin. I'm the team leader, the new team leader for Red Rose Recovery based in North Lancs.
Oh, that's the new team leader on our team North. Yes, Kevin.
Yeah. New to the team, but not new to the organisation.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And not
on
new to
there
the rotation.
for 2 years back now, wasn't it? The pilot scheme. Been around a bit, like, yeah.
Tell us something about yourself using the first letter of your first name.
No pressure.
K.
It's going a bit wrong.
K.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's got to be capable with a K on it. I
Yeah,
can't think of anything beginning with a K.
Not a
Bending
curly
the-
kid.
Yeah,
Clue, man.
bending the rules a bit there.
K.
But Kevin
Yeah, Kevin.
Capable
Kevin
with a K, yeah.
is capable, right?
Capable Kevin. Or
Killer.
Kevin the capable one.
Yeah.
I've gone for killer.
Yeah, killer Kev,
Yeah,
the
we
capable.
can have capable Kev, that's cool. Okay, pick one.
Mr. Moll. Mr. Moll, who looks like an aeroplane driver,
An aeroplane
pilot. You look like a take-off call, Elisha House. Woo.
Hi, I'm Carl Molyneux, and honest to God, I started sweating when you said think of something to describe yourself beginning with the letter C. I've been flapping like mad. There's so many, but probably confused, conflicted, curring, the conqueror, champion. How many words can I have? How many do you want? I can keep going.
You just rinsed it, Carl.
Are you reading off the list of Google there?
No, they're all filed in the head then.
No, we sat there sweating,
Keep it
thinking
real,
about
man.
it.
Great. So
Cool, Carl.
I was
Please,
just
cool,
going to say
Carl.
that. Cool, Carl.
and you're representing Elisha House tonight. You're going to have a chat. As soon
Yeah.
as
So I mean, I'll probably need to say I might say something I shouldn't. So I probably should represent myself. Don't want to bring anybody
You know
into
what?
disrepute.
Yeah, good on you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that. Okay, Ben, coming to Ben Riley.
Oh, Ben.
Is it me now? I got confused with brother Ben before, but okay. Hi, brother Ben. Hello, the rest of the guys. Hi, Emma and Pete.
Hello.
And the Dakin twins and Cal. It's good to see you, man. Oh, what forgot to say? B.
Yeah.
Oh, Ben SOS, that boy with a bucket hat.
Yeah.
Big bad and bold, so I'm told, right?
Yeah.
we knew that was coming.
Dropped out of the 90s.
Big
and
bold.
Bold.
Well, this is it, man. This is it. There's something under there, though. You know, there's something under there, right?
Ben you have a head.
I have it. Yeah, I've got hair. I've got hair. I just like bucket hats.
Right, let's get on with
I
it.
just like bucket hats.
Glenn.
Hi, yeah, I'm Glenn. I'm team leader for Red Rose Recovery and advocate for Lancashire User Forum. G. Well, seeing as though the theme's transformation, I'm going to be Glenn gathering hope that can come from transformation from the prison into the community.
Go on, man. Deep. Okay, Mick Fleming.
Yeah.
Oh, put him on mute.
There you go. Is that better?
That's fantastic.
All right, yeah. So I'm Pastor Mick Fleming, and I'm persistent, but I'm not really right in my head, really. I don't think I ever am. So I'm mental, really. Just that's kind of who and what I am, really. So yeah, persistently mental. That'll do for me.
I love it.
The sick of it.
And we love you.
And then rounding it off with Andrew.
Evening, everyone. So Andrew from Healthy Heroes. God, what can I say? I'm going to use a few words. So Army Veteran Ambassador.
Oh, nice.
And we'll hear some more about that. So while we're just acclimatising, as always, we start the show off where we can with a bit of music.
Yeah.
So we've got Booze and Soil are going to start off the night with some tunes. Is that all right, guys? Over to you.
I hope you enjoy.
try this time. I'm gonna give you my heart in spite of my soul.
Good riff though, that weren't it?
Do you know the quality?
like the
The
riff.
quality musicians.
Yeah.
And we're also testing out a new platform.
We
so
are. This is brand new.
If there's one thing you can expect to experience is that we're unpredictable,
Interesting,
and authentic.
That's
So
the feedback we've had.
That's
yes.
what you'll get every week from us, and we can pivot when it doesn't always go right.
And we can pivot well.
This week's transformation.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We have a set of values in the Lancashire User Forum, and we revolve those values as a discussion point every week. This week, the value is transformation.
And quite right, seeing as how we're streaming live into the prison. Just for the guys to know in there what a treat they can engage in when they come out. So start planting seeds now, lads.
So
start planting seeds now.
For us, transformation, some of the descriptions are and stigma. About addiction, come into contact with prejudice and stigma because of your offending histories and your substance misuse. The only way we're ever going to change that is by standing in front of it and standing shoulder to shoulder. So, some of the other things, changing the way people think, that's what tonight's about, producing some content what brings awareness. I know we have a story every week, and the committee behind this platform, there's a lot of work that goes on to pull it off. I've said, Pete, you tell your story. And you just shot me a look there. What's that?
No, I was just waiting.
Have you got some like... So stories are really powerful. And I think, I was a bit... I didn't really want to tell my story. I don't know why. because it's my story. But I don't want to go into it in too much detail. One, because you might think I've been watching too many films. So I'll just tell you a couple of experiences I had within the criminal justice system. And I spent 20 years of my life locked up behind a prison door. So I could function inside prison. I knew how to survive. I knew how to live to a pretty decent standard. I didn't go without much within prison, but when I'd get released, that's when I would struggle. I couldn't sustain life on the outside because I never knew what the rules of engagement were in ordinary communities, and I'd adopted a set of values that wasn't applicable in the real world. There was in a prison setting or a gang type mentality, but not in the real world. So I had to learn them. And there was a few significant moments. I remember one day a prison officer come into my cell, and any time a prison officer comes into your cell, they'll bang the lock so that you can't slam the door and barricade them in. So when a prison officer walks into your cell and he doesn't bang the lock, straight away that's something that you noticed, and I noticed it, and he sat on my bed, he called me by my first name, he pulled out 10 cigarettes and offered me one, and said put the kettle on. And at that point he met me on a level. He never used his power or his his position to lord it over me. He just met me man to man, and that was an alien concept for me. I remember thinking that night, why was I so nervous about that interaction? I was only having a conversation with him. Is it because he was a prison officer and they're the enemy? Because that's how I used to view the world. Or is it because he was a big man? Is it because he was, more intimidating figure than me? And I kind of got to the conclusion pretty quick. It wasn't any of that. It was because he was treating me with what I now know to be positive regard. And what he did, he never had a past experience of criminal justice. He didn't know what it was like to be an addict, but he knew what it was like to be a human being and converse with another human being on a level. And that was the start of my journey, learning to build relationships and sustain those relationships with ordinary people who had values that wasn't taking them to places where I found myself. There was a few other significant things that happened when I started to change the way I thought, because it all starts with how you think. Before I do anything, I've already thought I'm going to do it. Seeing other people who was changing the way they lived their life, that was massively important to me. I used to call them the mythical unicorns. Where are these other offenders who don't come back to prison? Because I just see people coming back to prison. I'm just hearing about people dying. I'm just seeing people relapsing after time. So where are those mythical unicorns that you're telling me about? Because I've never met them. On that therapeutic community in HMP Wymont, that's where I got introduced to other people who was taking on positions of responsibility, and he wasn't using those responsible positions to lord it over other people. He was actually making decisions for the community, for what was best for that community, and I started to gravitate towards that concept. And it paid me in good stead. I learned about mutual aid in the sense that a few guys standing shoulder to shoulder, someone who I can take, someone who isn't that deeply entrenched in the emotion of whatever problem I've got going on in my head, someone who's smart enough but far enough away to give me a different perspective. That's what I mean about mutual aid. That's what I mean about guys standing shoulder to shoulder. people that I could go to and say, right, this is what I'm dealing with, and I'm right in the middle of it. What do you think? And then being brave enough to try out and test out these new ideas, new principles, because some of them was weird to me. It was like, right, this cat here is doing my head in. Every opportunity he gets, he's on me. And you know, they would say, "I'll do something nice for him, bless him," and I'd be like, "What? Are you mad?"
Yeah.
I really want to give him a little bit of what he's giving me, and he would say, "Well, that's not going to get you to where you say you want to be. Why don't you try doing it a different way?" And lo and behold, within months, my life started to get better, the relationships I had. And this all took place in prison. I'm not talking about post-prison. This all started in prison because I changed the way I viewed my surroundings. And here's the thing, I never did it on my own. I didn't do it on my own, I did it. You don't do it on your own. You know a bit about prison, don't you, babe?
Well, I was just going to say, I've never been in Weimar or Garth, only to deliver training. But I have, I've spent a bit of time. It was Risley back in the day for me, and then shipped all over the country because I just couldn't stop. I couldn't stop using.
Did you escape?
I tried and got
tried.
Yeah, so I spent quite a lot of time on basic in prisons all over Lancashire, obviously female prisons, that is. I'm feeling a bit intimidated in this room.
Well, it's real, it's real stuff, innit? And
so, I'm kind of wanting to advocate for the women. I know women's prisons are very different than men's, but it's still just as hard to get vulnerable because you wear masks, don't you? So my little nugget would definitely be, you know, if there is mutual aid coming into the prisons, if there is a pastor like Mick or Ben that has access, you know, to the landings and stuff, that you reach out and you get vulnerable. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, to say, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how, and revert back to what you've always done before and how you've always treated people. But there is a way out and you don't have to use. I spent all my sentence using, I did all my time. And I wish I'd have known of me back in the day. I wish I'd have met a woman like me back in the day.
well, we're fortunate in Lancashire because governors of the establishments we're connected with see the value in having a lived experience and how that can have a transformational effect on people. They recognise, you know, people like us.
How awesome is that, to be able to stream live into your cell, whether it's a cell in your head, in your front room, or in the prison?
Yeah, but you've actually gone into the prison, haven't you, and delivered training to staff and to prisoners as a former prisoner.
Yeah.
Now, there's people who've gone before us and they've like paved the way, but there's still a whole set of procedures that you have to get through to actually get inside a prison, isn't there?
Yeah.
This platform takes away that. This allows us to just come straight in through a technology, and I think that's a beautiful thing. We've got loads of, shout out a few people who are watching. I mean, I've just seen Matt Idle.
Oh, hi, Matt. Matt in the house. I've also seen Rob Oil.
Some top
Rob
people.
Oil in the house. Rob, get commenting. You know, these are guys that have got experience of prison. Stephen Brown. Shout out to Steve Brown. David Simpson. Transformation for me is a marked change in form, appearance, attitude, and spirit. So if you can have a spirit move, your behaviour changes outwardly. So it's all about what's going on inside.
Okay, you've mentioned spirit. Let's just come on to Brother Ben.
Absolutely.
Brother Ben, you're familiar with prisons. I know you can't get into prisons at the moment, but it doesn't stop you walking round. I know that you walk round the walls of HMP Strangeways praying for the lads who are in there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm not allowed in at the moment because I'm a volunteer, and I don't know why, but throughout the country, volunteers are not allowed in the prisons. I've been a volunteer in Strangeways for over 20 years, and I know Peter from those days. And I know lots of people from those days, many of whom are still struggling around criminality and addiction, but I know a lot of people who found recovery and who have found life and you know, are doing amazing things now. I mean, a lot. And I could tell you plenty of stories. My own story, I'm a person in recovery myself. When I started working in Strange Ways back in 1988, I realized that I had a problem with addiction myself, that I had sort of managed to, I don't know, to deny for some time. And so I came to recovery about the same time I started working in prisons. And those two things just fit perfectly for me because, as you know, most people in prison have, if not addictions to substances, addictions to behaviors that are destructive. So those two things have motivated me and energized me for all these years. And I still love going in there because I love seeing people get better. I love seeing people struggling. You know, I say over and over to guys in prison, the only good thing I know about prison is that it gives you time to think. Maybe too much time, okay, but time to think about how you got here, what you want to do about it, and if you want to go somewhere else, and maybe how to go about that. And I love seeing people, you know, thinking and struggling and trying to make sense of it. And I'm lucky that the other chaplains that work at Strange Ways have kept me connected with quite a few of the guys that I know in there at the moment. And so there is, and I'm also sending some stuff in to be passed out to the guys, some reflections that have always at least a bit of a recovery wisdom in them, because I think recovery wisdom is life. You know, it's basically it's what the wisdom of the centuries has passed on to us. And you know, I think that's enough for me at the moment. Thanks. I might have something more to say later, but that'll do for now. Thanks.
Thanks, Ben.
I just want to say, I just thank God for you all, because what we do is help others, isn't it? And I know that's your like living, waking breath, Brother Ben, and that goes for everybody on here as well, to help others, you know, that where we once were. And it's like what we do is what we get out of bed for in the morning. I love you.
But can I say also, that thing that we say in recovery is we can't keep it if we're not passing it on. You know, recovery is not something that we can hold on to. If it's not flowing through us, if we're not giving it on, we're going to lose it. Absolutely. So I have to keep, no, yes, I do. I love helping people, but it's also survival for me.
Yeah.
They say the difference between recovery capital, the more of it you spend, the more you get. But financial capital, the more you spend, the less you have. Yeah. So, no, just thinking of these two fellas here. These are spending recovery capital all over the UK, aren't they? Man, absolutely. You know who we're talking about, because you're laughing. So, do you want to spend some with us tonight, guys?
Cash it in, guys. Give it away now.
Well, is it the buzzword we're looking at is transformation?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I see transformation in Kevin, in Ben, in Carl, and in the other guys who's on who have not formally met, but I know that, you know, especially with Kevin and Carl, you know, I knew them before recovery. So sometimes in yourself, you don't see the transformation, even though I can see it in him. But when I see people who I was in the madness with, and now when you shouted up there, Kevin, team leader for the North, boom, we was like, get in there. Because, you know, we know what it was like. We was brought up in the same area, used the same stuff. Carl, you know, went to the same prisons. And it's like the transformation, just I have to say this quickly. I remember bumping into Carl as both prisoners in Risley, and, you know, letting on and going, now then. And then I didn't know where he went then, but I think it was the castle. But I carried on in my you know, sentence and what have you. Then later, when recovery, Carl actually come to the gate to let me in. As I was going in to view the place of possibly getting a job, and Carl had the keys to let me in. And then a few years later, I was working in there, and he come in to interview somebody, and I was able to return the favour by going down to the gate to pick him up. And we just like looked at each other and said, you know what, how does this happen? And that's just one of the very small transformational examples of, see, because I believe when I first got clean, I believed that mainstream of life and what the normal squares did, as I used to think of him when I really wanted to be like him. I used to think that part of life was a limitation in me. I would never be able to join it. And in recovery, I've not just been able to join it, I've been able to be like productive in it as well, and been able to, you know, it sounds like a cliche when we say a life beyond your wildest dreams, but that's exactly what's kind of happened, you know. So that I love seeing people getting well, and like Ben said, you know, to keep it, we've got to give it away, you know, and first of all, for everybody, you've got to get something to give away first, but you know, that's how this carries on, and that's, you said it yourselves, that's what you get up for in the morning, you know. But yeah, transformation all around me. Go on, brother. Here's the transformed.
Here's the transforming. And that was mad listening, because Carl and David have both opened the gate for me to go into Risley as well, you and me. And I was in Risley with Carl. But I think we've been fortunate enough, we've been able to go into Kirkham as well. We've been able to go into Walcourse. We've been able to go into Risley. I mean, I don't know, have they linked up to Garth tonight? I don't know. I hope if there is any prisoners listening or they get to listen to this, you know, I spent from 97 to 2001 in Garth, you with me, and I was doing a long sentence. I actually got released from Garth. I went on the first therapeutic community wing there. I was one of the first people to graduate. I'd done a year on there. Funny enough, I stayed on for 3 months to co-facilitate groups. I'm a psychosocial interventionist now, a counsellor. I run groups, you know. So if you're in there and you're thinking you can do it, get on it, you know, get the experience. I was only doing it then. You know, sadly for me, I left. It was on E-Wing then in Garth, and I left and went back to C-Wing, and the program that I was following gave me the whole belief that I could use successfully, you know, and I just picked up again and scratching my head again, you know, why, you know, what was I doing? But like I said, eventually I was released from there. I mean, that wasn't the end of my criminal justice journey. You know, I stayed out for a couple of years then after that. And then I ended up being arrested again and doing another big sentence. And that's when we bumped into, I ended up padded up with him, and we'd done another rehab in jail. But we didn't get the bit, I love what it says in some of the literature we read, you with me, it says we concentrated on the stopping and not the using. So we kept using, saying, I'm going to stop tomorrow, I'm going to stop tomorrow. And it never happened. But just for the people in there, if they sat there, I used to always think that even if I got clean, even if I went straight, the police would never leave me alone. You know, they'd be chasing me, they'd be stitching me up, you know, I'd never be able to get a job. And what I say to prisoners now when I go and talk to them is cops chase robbers. If you stop robbing, they stop chasing you. They've not got enough time to go chasing. You know, if you stop, and that's the bottom line, you know, when that happens, you know, we was in Alt Course just before Christmas, and I was able to say to the guys, there was lads off our estate, there was lads who'd done prison with me, you know, I was able to say, you know, your DBS check, you know, like is for companies to know about your past. That doesn't mean you can't work with them. It just means that they're aware of it. And funny thing is I do the DBS checks for my company, you and me, you know, I mean, I've not been in trouble for a long time, you with me, but like, I always thought I'd never be able to change and never be able to transform and do something else, you know, and I've got a really responsible job today, and it's all come from you lot. I always laugh when you say about me and him being, you know, good role models and good. Me and him on our own, we are FUCK. Do you with me? We're the worst. We're the worst influence on each other. You know, and our families have always tried to split us up. And I'll leave it on this one. This is the funny thing. School, they split us up. Prison, they split us up. Now, in next month, hopefully, we're going to be going back to finish our degrees in counselling, and they're going to let us go in together. They don't know what they're putting the cell up for, you with me? But that's amazing. We're 50 this year, and we're going to go back to school together, you with me? So that's transformation. And if we can do it, anyone can do it.
The transformation twins.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know that you give the hope shot to a lot of people, and I've done over the years. So listen up, guys. You know, these guys are giving you the hope shot because they actually are the hope dealers. And
we're both over 10 years clean now, as you know. So you know, if we can do it, anybody can do it.
And you heard it here first, right? The 50 mark again. Everyone's turning 50 this month. A lot of my friends are turning 50.
It's the new 40.
It is, absolutely. And I think the closer you get to it, the more acceptable it becomes, right?
Yeah, you have to, don't you? You've got no way out of it.
And they're living the best life at 50, and long may it continue, guys. Long may it
Definitely. Thank you.
So just to pick up on how this is going to work, it's not being live streamed into the prisons tonight. What we're going to do is upload this to YouTube, and then the prison will just pull it from YouTube. We've given permission to do that. And for the guys who are isolated, they don't have TVs. What we're going to do is do some box sets. You know, further on we'll produce some content.
Yeah, season 2. Yeah,
that can provoke some thought and raise awareness. And there's questions coming in. People are wanting to, they're wanting to like throw topics in. Like, is there any popping up, Glenn?
Yeah, there's a couple. Before I do that, there's a couple of shout outs. So John Roberts is on every week. Big shout out to him. Stephen Brown has said that COVID has stopped residents of HMP prisons hearing these stories. So more stuff like this to get into the prisons is brilliantly. And he's also said that shout out to HMP Wymont because they saved his life. He was on the TC there. John Roberts, I don't know if anybody can answer this. It might have been one for Paula, but John Roberts has said spice is rife in prisons. Is there anything being done to combat it on TC wings?
That's a good question. And Cameron Brown, if you're watching, or Claire Lee, maybe you can come in with a comment there. And we can get that answer for the guys. You've got lots of people watching. Like and share. People like and share. Let's give the hope shot out there. Jenna in the house. Hi, Jenna. Hi.
Okay, so thanks for that, guys. And it is inspirational to, see and meet people and hear the stories when they've come through the criminal justice system and gone on to be successful. I think when you're trapped in that lifestyle, you don't see a lot of that. You just see people who fail, people who come back, and there's a lot of good work going on in the prisons. So this is just one platform that we can share that good practice. We can highlight what's going on in the community and build a bit of a bridge.
And there's a lot of us. We're not a glum lot, are we? There's a lot of us. There's a movement. You've got leaders rising to the top, and they all come with a lived experience.
Okay, choose.
I've got to bring Mick in. I've got to bring the not so sinister minister.
The Sicker Vicar from
Sicker Vicar. You all right, guys? You all right? Yeah. Well, it's like, so I just picked a little bit of scripture being something out of the Bible, and I think we've got it right on the money. as well today, because it's about transformation. So I'll read it first. So it's from a little bit called Ephesians. It's in the end bit of the Bible. So, I put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. So there's a little bit as well in the Bible where there's a geezer called Paul, lovely fella, and he kind of like, he takes a right kicking for change, to go and tell people about God. He gives his life in the end. He's always getting a good pacing, a good hammering. Everywhere he goes, he's getting it. He has this truth inside him, and he's prepared to take it. He's not soft, he's going to have it. He's taking it because it's right. It's the right thing to do. So everywhere he goes, he's getting leathered. But he says this. He talks about taking off the old coat and putting a new one on. So the old filthy coat that we've carried all these years and everything, and putting on a new one. I'm just kind of thinking, I don't know if anybody, any of the lads listening are kind of like me. This would be coming out of prison, getting on a train, and then just having, I'm just going to have one little drink. They used to sell little drinks along like that. And I've got a meeting, I've got to go and see an office. I've got to do something by the time I get back home before I get home. And I don't make the appointment because I'm absolutely smashed every time. And it's going back to the same thing. So what is prison? You know, what is prison really? So my prison wasn't about being locked up in a cell necessarily. My prison was being out. I was trapped constantly, all the time within myself. And I'd be doing, I'd go and live with a woman because I couldn't take responsibility to have my own house. So I'd just latch onto somebody, and then it'd mess up and I'd end up back on the streets again. I didn't know, I didn't have a clue. I was just swapping one jail for another, because what I was doing was I was just carrying this coat that were just ripped and ragged, and I didn't even know. And then one day somebody showed me how to take that coat off, and it was similar to what Pete said. It was kind of like, what hit me was, I went into a church and they gave me a cup of tea, and they gave me a cigarette, and they kind of patted me on the head, and I was living rough at the time. And I knew I was going to have to come out, and this was going to be my first night sleeping on the street. And I was pretending I was tough, but I was scared really. And I kind of didn't like it. It was so uncomfortable. I just wanted somebody to just say, look, I'm going to fix it for you. But they didn't. And they were lovely people in this church, but they didn't have any answers, you know. And I was rattling really bad. I was proper rattling bad. And I needed a drink. I couldn't. And I heard somebody in the church say, don't give him any money because he'll only spend it on drink. Well, that's all I needed. At that moment, that is all I needed. I was absolutely desperate. And I come out of that church and I thought, you can stick your God. You can stick your God where the sun don't shine. And I ended up on the street. And there's a guy, and he had a big sleeping bag. And I sort of get talking to him, and he said, come and sit down. So he covered me up with his sleeping bag. And he had a hat in his bag because it was freezing, absolutely freezing. And he took the hat out of his bag and he put it on my head. He put a fag in my mouth and he lit it for me. And he even took it out of my mouth because I was shaking so bad I couldn't do it. And then he got the cider, opened it, and he put it in my mouth. And he waited with me. And I just started to come to. I met Jesus on the street. He was homeless, but he gave me everything he had. He shared it with me. I didn't meet Jesus in the church I'd been to. I met people. This guy knew who and what I was. He saw my pain, he saw what I needed. And he took the coat off for me. As I would put my arms out, he would undo my buttons so I could take the coat off. And from that moment, I worked towards putting a new coat on. So I wear a different coat now. It's kind of like, I have a peace inside. that I never, ever, ever had before. And I never, ever thought it was possible. And I just imagine it to be like this. This is how I imagine. This is what my life was like. It was like I was in a prison, but it was glass all the way around. And everybody was on the outside looking at me, and they could see what I was doing and how destructive I was and what I was doing to myself and other people. And they're saying, the door's there, Mick. Just open the door. Put your hand on it and open the door. But I couldn't see the handle. I couldn't see it. And in the end, I started to feel against the glass and work my way towards the door handle. And then when I got hold of it, I was scared to turn it, to walk out. But my friend on the street put his hand on mine, and we opened that door together. And that was the beginning of my recovery. I haven't been arrested or locked up since that day. I mean, I went through a lot of different things along my journey, you know. But I've never been locked up since, apart from very close last week, Pete. Very close to getting locked up last week on. So we saw our Ministries church on the street. We got raided. It was like Sweeney. So as we're off police for there.
Mick?
Sorry.
Did you get a fine?
No, I got threatened, but I didn't get fined. And the thing was, it was like the old prejudices, you know, they're still there. That, you know what I mean? I've got my arm in court there. Do you know what I mean? And it looks smart on that side. I've got my arm in there, but you know, like I haven't quite put my hand out at bottom to get comfortable in it. Do you know what I mean? So like I'm sat there, you know, stood there, the vicar, policeman either side of me, and thinking, here we go again. Do you know, it came back like that. But there's a real difference, you know. Yeah. There's a real difference. I'm not throwing people about. I'm not tipping tables over. I'm kind of like swallowing it and taking it and letting it be what it is and working through it. Like Pete said, something's different now. You know, it's how I react is completely different. And that's kind of...
Just for the lads walking in prison, watching in prison, you're not talking about a metaphorical prison. I mean, you're sitting there as an ordained minister who is accountable, part of a broader system, but you wasn't always an ordained minister, was you, Mick? Life used to be pretty rough for you.
Life were really rough from being an early age. So from 11 years of age. So just really quick, I don't want to take too much time, but from early age, I think it's important for some of the lads in jail to know kind of that we're similar with the same issues. So I were sexually assaulted at 11, and I took my first drug that day. I'd kind of we're going to tell my parents, but I didn't because I was attacked on my way to school. I come home, and we're going to tell them in the morning. As I walked down the stairs, my dad walked in the door. He said, "Yeah, come down. Your sister's dead." And them two things were trauma as a child. And what I did, my mum took distilled G6, you know, the DF118s that they used to get. And I went upstairs and I took them. I knew nothing about drugs or a mummy's boy, I knew nothing. But I knew that when she took them, she could go about and do stuff. So I took them, instantly addicted, rest of my life, crime, hurting people, hurting myself. And I changed. I had a God experience. I had an experience that wasn't me. I'd gone to hurt somebody in the worst way. That's probably as much as I'd say. And something happened within that, and my life was kind of changed at that moment. But the biggest part, what happened was when I did get clean, eventually got clean, and I put on this new coat. I met a guy in the McDonald's, and he was an alcoholic and a drug addict just like me. And I got him a brew, and I sat down with him and I talked to him and I helped him, and he got clean. He got completely clean for the first time for years and years and years. I got to know his family. He died 2 years later, unfortunately. He died, but he died clean and sober and everything. And I never told him, but he was the guy that raped me when I was 11. And when I was sat there talking to him, I wanted to cut his throat. That's what I wanted to do. You know, I'm telling you, that's what I wanted to do. I'm going back probably 9 years, perhaps, and that's what I wanted to do. But this thing, this new court, I don't have to do that. So I didn't. And you know what? The things I've done have been horrendous. Just because I haven't done that kind of thing doesn't mean I haven't done things. And you know what? I felt forgiven for what I'd done. I felt completely forgiven for everything. And it gives me the strength and the power to forgive somebody else. And forgiveness doesn't say it's all right. I don't want anyone to misunderstand that it's all right, because it wasn't all right. But I had this power given to me. It wasn't my power. It was the power from God. And I've used it ever since. So I stand here now as an ordained vicar, slightly mental. I don't smoke crack anymore. And I try my best not to hit people. But we're still on the edge of the law sometimes. But we don't step over the line. We sail close to it. And I think that's just maybe, you know, I'm just trying to get better. And I'm just trying to get better together. So addicts, people in prison, all the rest of it, we come together as the same, and we get better together. Never, ever alone, ever alone. And that's how I feel now. I never feel alone. And I'm not trapped in that glass box. I'm not trapped in that sweat box. So,
And
thank you.
a lovely new jacket.
Yep, that's the one.
I've just got a visual of you like this, you know, like trying to get your arm in your jacket. I know what that feels like from taking sports tops off.
Loneliness is a killer, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isolation is a killer, and you don't have to be. That's what I'm saying.
Well, this is what I was saying to you the other day when we delivered that training to people who really struggled answering the hope question. I was saying the hope shot. I'm really big on the hope shot at the minute. And hope is transmitted. You don't get it on your own in a darkened room alone. You know, we need others. We need others to give the hope shot. Thanks, Mick.
It's a gift, isn't it? Hope.
Yeah, completely.
You give that to somebody.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
Yeah, it is a gift. So just remember Sarah in your prayers.
Sarah, is
my
she there?
Sarah.
Yes,
She
get the
is
women
here.
finger in.
Yeah, there's another woman here. Sarah.
Sarah.
Are you all right? Hi. Are you okay?
Yeah, and you're in my prayers for the 12th, is it?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Well, listen, good luck. We'll see you tomorrow at church on the street.
Amen.
Brilliant.
Keep it real.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. I'm not great at picking people, so I'm going to give that responsibility to you.
Oh, okay, that's absolutely cool. Well, let's move swiftly on. Let's just bring, because I know Dave and Dom mentioned Kevin and Carl, so let's bring Carl in.
Hiya.
Hey,
Me,
dude.
man. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Well, I was sound, yeah. Just great, really listening to what people are saying. Yeah, that transformation stuff. It's amazing, really, listening to people's stories. And I don't often think of myself in that same regard, but then Dominic and David were mentioning Risley Prison, and I just had this memory. I remember my dad telling me the first time he ever met me as a child was actually in Risley. My mum had took me up as a baby onto a visit and said, "Here, get a good look at him. This is the last time," because he was always falling out. "This is the last time you're going to see him." Blah 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 blah. And I didn't know that story till years later. But Risley's played a massive part in my own recovery. You know, I spent quite a long time in there, and actually at my rock bottom while I was in there. You know, and it wasn't the fact that I was in Risley that I hit the rock bottom. I'd been in the system since being a kid. You know, and in and out of prison most of my life. So it wasn't the prison environment that had made me at my rock bottom. It was just something internally that had happened. That just, Peter mentioned loneliness and isolation. Then I just got to a point where I just felt so lonely and isolated. and disconnected from people. And I just, that point in my life happened when I was in Risley. And I ended up getting moved over to the castle, you know, Lancaster Castle. You know, somebody else talks about a certain, I think Brownie had commented, you know, Wymont had saved his life. Lancaster Castle had definitely saved my life. That's where I found hope. I found love in a hopeless place in the castle. But you know, I got clean in the castle, and then a few years after I got out, I got an opportunity to go back working in Risley. And I ended up having an office on the end of the landing from where I'd hit my rock bottom. And it was so surreal to like go back into a prison and be a key holder. You know, many of the officers remembered me, and I was walking around the landings, and it was just weird. I had people who had grown up with on the wings, you know, people who had committed crimes with, people who had spent time in prison with. And every day I went in there, you know, and I tried to take a good attitude in there, you know, to try and carry a message. I remember setting like mutual aid stuff up in there, and I was trying to link people with recovery out in the community and all that type of stuff. But, you know, I used to pinch myself. I was so grateful that I wasn't on that side of the fence anymore, and that I got to go home every evening. I suppose, like, my message to any of the guys who get a chance to listen to this is that, because I've spoken to so many people since I've been released from prison who are still in prison, and a lot of them say, when I get out, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to go to rehab when I get out, or I'm going to link in with this when I get out. And you don't have to wait till you get out. You know, I was clean for 17 months in prison. I probably had more freedom in them 17 months while I was in prison than I'd ever had in my life. You know, your recovery journey can start while you're there behind the walls. Ask for some help. You know, find, like Peter said earlier on, find out what's going on in the prison recovery-wise. Most prisons have some kind of recovery stuff going on in there. You know, there's lots of people like us who get a chance to go back working in prisons now. That wasn't perhaps happening 10 years ago. Seek them out, you know, find out what's going on. And your journey can start there rather than wait till you get out, you know what I mean? Because I remember the day I got out, that was a big crossroads in my recovery. I had an opportunity to go to a recovery project in Blackburn or go back home to St Helens. And I knew what would happen to me if I went home. And I managed to drag my ass over to Blackburn. And my recovery just took off from then. And I've been involved in so much good stuff since then. I've got so many good people in my life. I've worked for loads of really good organisations. You know, all my friends are in recovery. My brother's now in recovery. I've got children. You know, life just took off because I got involved and I participated. And like the twins were saying, you know, they're two of my best friends now. And, you know, it's if I can do it, anybody can do it. I was a prolific offender. Like I said, I was caught up in the system from an early age. I remember being in Red Bank Assessment Centre as a kid and hearing other young lads in the dormitory crying themselves to sleep at night and then having the piss took out of them the next day. I learned very early on to hide my feelings, you know what I mean? Because I didn't want people to take the piss out of me. And I just learned how to wear that mask and hide all my life. And it was only when I come into recovery and I seen other people in recovery having the courage to talk about some of that stuff that gave me the courage to do it. And I would encourage, you know, anybody who's still stuck in that. You know, if you're still enjoying crime and drugs and all that, look, crack on. But there'll be people, who, you know, behind the mask will be thinking, fuck, you know, there must be another way. And there is. You know what I mean? Seek it out, try and find it somewhere, ask. Yeah, and that's me really.
Can I just, oh, thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Carl.
I was just thinking about that time we came into Risley. Do you remember? And
was it like a recovery day in the sports hall, was it?
Yeah, there was only about 5 of us there, weren't there? Oh, I do remember that. I'm just thinking back to Dave and Dom saying it as well, and you was in there Do you remember at night when we just used to all shout over? The women used to speak to the guys. When you first walked in there as a kid, that was really intimidating. It's just frightening. But there is so much going on. Now I'm in the prisons in recovery, and I just want a massive shout out because Dave Adams watching. So Dave, we want you in one of these series as well.
Do you know that prolific offender? It's almost, well, it is. It's not almost. It is. You've took that same mentality with your. You know, it's like a prolific offender is someone who offends prolifically, and now you're not offending. You're at the other end of the spectrum. I'll tell you what we see when we see you operating is that you always bring people with you.
Yeah.
It's very rarely about you. It's always about other people. We see you just wade through the bullshit and the politics and do the right thing. And it's no surprise that whatever we see you get involved in
bears fruit.
It bears fruit, and we was just saying that earlier on today, weren't we? So we wanted to take this opportunity to get it on the record, man. We love the bones of you. We love what we do. We see you. We recognise you,
and everybody else does as well. You're a leader in the community call. You're an absolute oak tree.
And there's many more out there watching this, and what we're saying is, you know, it's not difficult. There's people who've gone before you, who've carved out that path. It's pretty well trodden now. So if you want it, just come and get it, because, you know, there's more Carls in that system, isn't there? There's more twins, there's more guys in there, and we're saying we want you as builders, as leaders, as connectors, as assets.
Change agents.
Giving the hope shot.
Yeah. But, you know, and it's you know, it's a community. You're talking about friends and friendships, real friendships, not fair weather friends, real friends. And that is the gift of recovery, isn't it? You know, I class you all as my best mates, but I do like to have women as my friends. You know, I'm in a room full of men.
Or I start getting a bit nutty.
Yeah, I do. I've got a big sisterhood of amazing women wrapped around me, and the lads, you know, getting real with the lads. It's just a beautiful thing, isn't it? Real friendships, fruitful friendships.
It's interesting because,
it's a gift.
Glenn, we was talking about how we grew up without dads. We grew up without men who taught us how to be men. The guys who I mean, you run a support group for men, don't you? And you know, it was off the back of a conversation where we wanted to explore. Some of the guys didn't know how to be men. They'd learned to control women, to manipulate them, to beat them. They thought they had to be alpha males, expressing, you know, toughness, and didn't really know how to tap into vulnerability. And you've got an experience of the criminal justice system, but catch hold of that, because I know we've got a big lineup.
Thanks, Carl.
Carl, we love you.
We love you, man. I just want to bring in any comments off Glenn, and then let's shoot to Ben SOS, because I know Ben has got to go. Ben, bucket hat Ben, bowl, bucket hat Ben.
Bucket hat Ben.
Any comments, Glenn?
Yeah, there's a couple of shout outs, should I say. So Gemma Mulholland is watching, or Lorna Simpson, Craig Worswick, Alex Campbell, and Billy Clean from Men's Ear. And there's a couple of comments that I want to read out. So Samantha Harrison said, amazing work. She hopes her brother will stop because he's on the wrong track. He's been out of jail 12 years and he just hopes that he sees this and gets some inspiration. You've got Dennis Radcliffe. Spiritual transformation has helped individuals achieve their recovery. You've got Sarah Windsor that said that she just fell upon this platform and she's inspired.
Oh, a great place to go. Great place to go.
Yeah. And you've got John Roberts, who's give a shout out to Steve Mack, drug worker from Old Course, saying he's a great guy.
Steve Mack in the house. Great guy. Thanks, Glenn.
And after we come to bucket at Ben,
Bold.
then we're gonna get a tune off the guys who
Yeah.
were there ready to like strum it.
While you brace yourselves before we introduce you to the Kevin.
Oh, and not forgetting
The
Andrew Powell.
Absolutely.
Andrew, we're getting to you,
Coming
mate.
round
Getting
slowly
there.
but surely,
We're getting
guys.
there. Thanks for your patience. Ben Riley, Ben SOS Riley, we are watching what you're doing.
And when we say dry, when I say dry,
you say
wave.
I say that was crap.
When I say dry, you say
wave.
Dry.
Wave.
Right.
Wave.
Come on, let's have it.
So, Ben, we're watching what you're doing and we're loving the passion. You know, we're right there, shoulder to shoulder with you, wanting to help support, you know,
Absolutely.
develop the work you're doing on the Greater Manchester footprint. I know you've got a heart for people who are still in service and you want to advocate and represent them, and we just love the work you're doing. So we connect outside of this platform, don't we, Ben?
Do. Yeah, we do, man.
Is in the pipeline, isn't it? So tell us about what drives Ben.
All right, okay. Yeah, so, you know, I just want to kind of big you up on that because it's great. It's great to work alongside you guys and, you know, to chat outside this platform. And I've loved what everyone's had to say, you know, so a big shout out to the Dakin twins, you know, to Mike and to the rest of the gang, Carl, who have already spoken today, you know, and shared their stuff. This is what it's about. You know, I come on fire when I get asked to try to attempt to inspire people into a new way of life, right? Because this is what I needed to hear at 27. I was in Forest Bank in 2008 with an 18-month stretch for theft and violence. That was my MO. You know, I'd rob your wallet, I'd help you look for it. That was my kind of that was my kind of vibe. I was you know, I was heavily involved in criminal activities, selling and using drinking drugs from an early age, and it was just a madness. I always surrounded myself full of criminals, and it was I didn't know there was another way out, right? Until in 2000, when was it, like 2010? I bumped into a lad that was talking the same language as me, and told me there was a different way, right? There was a way to recover. You know, I want to give a big shout out to all the guys in Garth, a big shout out to all the guys in Weimar. I grew up listening to music, listening to MCs, listening to underground MCs, hardcore, drum and bass, all that kind of vibe. I always wanted to be an MC. Never got there because, do you know what? I was in and out of taking drugs, in and out of prison, in and out of trouble. So never got there. When I got into recovery, when I started hanging about with guys that were no longer involved in criminal activity, I started to become like them. They started to rub off on me. Their behaviour started to rub off on me. We're all parrots, right? So we all kind of copy each other. You know, we are the people that we hang about with. You know, I was a bit of a leader. I used to drag people with me, make them come and use with me, make them come and, you know, get involved with crime. It was a crazy time. When I got in recovery, it opened up you know, this kind of world of promise, right? I could become who I really wanted to be, and that's what Dry Wave's about. So thanks for mentioning that, Pete. You know, Dry Wave allows people to come and express themselves through art, through music production, through media, through radio, through theatre, and then once they found out self, we can discuss what they want to do, how do they want to monetize, how, you know, would they like to get a job, would they like to work for themselves, and would they like to do it through their hobby and through themselves and through their story. Like Pete said at the beginning, mate, your story's powerful. As an individual, your story's powerful and it can really change people's lives. You know, so yeah, like I said, I used to listen to these MCs at 13. By the time I was 2 years in recovery, I was performing with the guys that I used to listen to when I was 13. You know, I became a headline act, and was touring around super clubs around the UK. I started my own label, which was called SOS, which was an event, which was a 70 capacity event. Within 2 years, it became a 7,000 capacity event. You know, so it's life in recovery is great. I don't really know what else to say. You know, I'd like to invite any of you guys, invite the staff, invite anybody that's listening to come and talk with myself, to come and talk with Red Rose Recovery and the Dry Wave team, and let's see if we can do something for the guys and girls that are coming out, and create a platform for them, you know, to build upon. Right, that's what they need. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm
Brilliant.
sorry, I'm bursting there, but
Yeah. Well, do you know, I like the way you are understanding how to market, because in the back you've got Dry Wave. So nice one for that. And it's
that's
good.
Dry
It's good.
Digital. Every Tuesday night, 9 till 11, we're gonna have Pete and Emma on there super soon. We need to chat about that and get you in the fiery diary, right?
get us in the booth. Get us in the booth.
What you come with
Get you
is
in the booth, mate. Fire in the booth.
it's hard to get a word
Sorry?
in. It's hard to get a word in edgeways with you. I was just saying, you come with a wealth of expertise and connections to tap into a sector that a lot of our people who are very, very creative would just benefit from.
Flourish.
Because, you know, our guys above you on the screen are about to let loose with their skills and abilities. The musicians, you know, and I think, oh, we've got a naked man up there as well who's giving us a little bit. It's like, thanks for that. But it's not just having that skill, is it? It's understanding how you get that skill to market so that you can become a producer and not just a consumer. And that's part of it. We've got a flasher up at Reflections.
Okay, guys.
That's the cue to go to those, isn't it? But Ben, much love to you, mate.
Thanks so much, guys. Listen, I'm going to go. I hope everybody enjoys.
Well, Ben, I love the message that you landed about you are who you have it with. And that means in there as well, you don't have to, you know, wait around, get a couple of you, start up a club. You did that, didn't you, with the chess club?
Absolutely, man. You know, look, we're here to inspire people. If you want to know how to start, you know, working within the community, shout us and let's get some conversations going. You know, let's inspire each other.
Yeah, go and ask a member of the staff about Red Rose. I can see Ben in the prison doing digital. Can you?
Yeah.
Pure talent. Absolutely.
I'll be there. I'll spit them when they get in prison. I'll spit them some bars. Right, we'll get some fire bars going.
Good man.
Absolutely. I just want to say a massive shout out to Terry Hughes in the house. We love you, brother. And Becca, we love you.
Terry and Becca.
Yeah,
Terry and Becca in the house.
Give us a call, Becca.
Top people, we love you. Okay, Reflections. Are you reading us? Are you ready to hit us with some?
They did have
tunes?
They did have a naked man just walking past them.
We're having technical issues with Reflections tonight, aren't we?
We are, yeah.
But you know, when you guys are ready to come in,
let us know.
Let us know, because we're asking for you.
Right, ready? You ready? Can you hear us?
Ready? Come on.
2, 3, 4.
we've got Dave and Dom in the house. Dom, have you got your guitar there? Yes, guys.
Come on, give us.
Come on.
Right, we'll give you a couple of minutes to get going after the next speaker.
Yeah,
We'll
you've
come
got to
back
get.
to you
You've got to
guys.
get the guys. You've got to wrap your ears around this.
And then reflections can sing us out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, Glenn, you're there. Have we got any?
It's already then. Oh, sorry, Dom. We'll come back.
Oh, we didn't know you had. Go for it. Go on, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it. Let's just give it to the guys, dude. Give it to the guys. Give it away.
Right, who's the last one? Hallelujah. Yeah. One more.
Yeah, we'll come back to you at the end for that reflections.
Right, reflections. We're going to come back to you at the end. We're just going to talk in Dom and Dave while we've got them live now. So.
We missed that. On mute, guys.
Quote of the year, you're on mute.
Start again.
So this is about relationships. And I was in prison. I seen David, the relationships he was in, and I just thought, that's shit, that. And I wrote this song. Some of you might identify. Warrington, and he couldn't get by. He met a girl from Birmingham. She knew why, and they met up on a lonely night. They were looking to score. I wouldn't say it was love at first sight. Forevermore. I know there was an attraction. There's gonna be some action, a chemical reaction. Oh, and before they knew it, they were under their covers, and they were chemical lovers, and they were under their covers and covers and covers. They were chemical lovers, yeah. Well, that came down from Warrington, where they went on and died. And that's there from Birmingham. She just cried. She said, oh, there was an attraction. There's gonna be some action, a chemical reaction. And before they knew it, they were right there, brother. They're chemical lovers, and like sisters and brothers and brothers and brothers. They were chemical lovers. Yeah, instrumental now. They give it clap. They were chemical lovers, and they were chemical lovers. Yeah. And that same man from Warrington, where they went on and died. And that girl from Birmingham, she just cried. Oh, there was an attraction, and now there's no action, a chemical reaction. Oh, and before they knows it, she'll be dead like her lover, her chemical brother, and like sisters and brothers and brothers and brothers, and then we chemical lovers and lovers and lovers, forever chemical lovers. Woo. Yeah.
Welcome, as ever, you delivered.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I remember round the campfire one night,
Yeah.
and it was just a beautiful, beautiful memory, a beautiful vibe.
Oh, no.
COVID's put a stop to the community camp this year.
But
We was looking at the picture, the cover picture to the, to the Red Rose Recovery, and it's one of them, where we was all sat at the, getting our photo taken on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Or the Saturday.
Great memories, man.
No, we're going to do that again. We're going to link up with Ben and try a festival, so we'll be calling on you guys.
Yeah, that's looking good for next year, isn't it?
Yeah, festival. Link Love Stock in with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Ideas. Let's go on to Kevin. Oh, my little street soldier in the house. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to see everyone. Dominic.
Hello, Kev.
How you doing, guys?
Oh, Kev.
A lot of memories there, man.
God
yeah, what's
bless.
the question then? What's it about transformation?
Yeah.
I've just kind of like been listening to like what everyone's been saying. I can relate to a lot of it, like, but regarding recovery and that, like drugs and that. I mean, I was long gone me before started taking drugs, heroin, particularly like when I was 28. But by then, I mean, I've been under the supervision of probation and criminal justice since I was like 12. I wasn't even using drugs or drinking problematically then. It was just like, it's like you said, Pete, when you started off, it's about the whole attitude, what my values were, and I was just gone, At the time, like, obviously, like, drug use made it worse, like, and the prison sentences and that got a lot more extreme and that, and like, I saved a lot of time in prison, subject to mappers and that, but at the time I wanted to get out of it and escape from it. I can relate to someone earlier who said that they couldn't go back to their own town either. I couldn't do that either. I couldn't go back. I tried it that many times getting out of prison with all the best intentions in the world, and then I never even completed a license ever until my last sentence. I had to get out. I thought I just got to get out of my own town for a bit, and if I want to reinvent myself and escape that world of drugs and crime, and the two were linked for me, but drugs came after. Obviously, it was the crime first. I've got to get away. I've got to get escape. So I did. On my last sentence, I didn't go back to my own town. I ended up in Accrington, and that's where I got linked in with like Peter and Red Rose Recovery and Emma and all the other guys and that there. And even though I really did, I've had enough of that world. I'd had enough of going in jail, that revolving door. I've had enough of all that and hurting people, broken relationships because they're getting sent down and all the rest of it. Like, I'd had enough of that. But even then, because I had an extensive criminal record, basically all my life I've been under the supervision of the National Probation Service or on the run, and I was also subject to a mapper. I just didn't ever think I could escape from it, and even if I wanted to escape, I just couldn't see a future to be able to rebuild myself, a future because of my criminal record. Like, because if you looked at me on paper, like, well, if I looked at me on paper, I wouldn't even give me a chance. I would not give me a chance if I looked at me on paper. And when I got linked in with peer support, like Peter was saying before, and things like that, Lancashire User Forum, and I got linked in with all that, I remember being offered the job. I remember being encouraged to go for the job, and I was like blown away by it because I was still an actor then, and yet someone was encouraging me to go for the job and that. But it went on anyway. It went on. So that the transformation is it's just about changing my values, my beliefs, my thoughts, and my academia. My studies has been massive for me as well. Like Dominic and David were saying, they're going to go back to uni and finish their counselling. That's been absolutely massive for me in recovery, if you want to call it that. So for the past 7 or 8 years, I've gone on to get myself educated and gone to uni. I've got numerous qualifications and degrees and various subjects and things like that. So that's been good for my own transformation. But being employed, it's pretty massive for me because I've never been employed like ever. I mean, my last sentence, I was only released in 2012. And prior to that, I'd been involved, you know, I'd never been in employment like ever. And I'd never done anything like ever. I got out in 2012. It was voluntary work, getting linked in with peers in recovery, going to college, going to uni, working. So it's just transformation. And my transformation for my own self, it's happened over the past, what, 7, 8, since 2012. So my transformation started. And it's ongoing. It's just ongoing. But yeah, it's pretty good, you know. I can say I'm getting this new team leader's position, team leader. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really good. I've gone on from being like service user rep, peer mentor, volunteer, support worker, onwards and upwards, and going on. It just goes on. It just goes on and on. And it is a transformation. It's a work in progress. Like, but I think the biggest thing for transformation to succeed in myself, all it takes is just one person to believe in you, one single person to see through that person on paper, to see that person. And I've had that, not off a lot of people, but I've had it, and that's what I try and do with the people I work with today, is to see the person, you know, because like I say, it's quite horrendous looking at myself on paper, as it is from a lot of people in this room. Right, if you look at a lot of people on paper, like, you don't have much of a chance with it, really. But yeah, transformations onwards and upwards, it's ongoing. Thanks a lot.
Because on paper,
yeah,
you're a totally different character, aren't you, Kev?
Yeah. Yeah.
But in practice, when you meet you, there's not a nicer bloke, and no, it was a pleasure for us to be able to develop a project which was aimed at some of the most entrenched service users. You went, you know, not easy work, is it? You know, these were people who we'd identified who were going to probably die, become a statistic. And for you to create opportunities for these people to have a go at transformation, you had to roll your sleeves up, didn't you, Kev?
It's a bit like, yeah, but it's a bit, bloody hell, yeah, it's been good though, and we're getting some good results. Like, we're going to get some more good results. Like, but you know, it's just that what it is. I think it's just that what you was on about, that stigma before, what's associated with it, and again, like looking at yourself on paper, and the labels what many of us in this room tonight have received: prolific offender. You know, I mean, mapper 2 stuck on me. And I think that's it, I'm finished. I'm done for. The only job I'll get is plucking chickens or something like that. You know what I mean? Some mundane thing, something. But it's just not true, like, you know. And I've spoken to people here in prison. When we went in the sports hall that time, I was there, you know, when we
yeah, I know. I
was talking, well, then, when I was volunteering then for a Red Rose Recovery, I was still a mapper then. I was still a mapper then, and I was still on licence then, and we was in Risley Prison in the sports hall. And I remember talking to a couple of guys, and he was saying to me that he's a mapper.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's not got doesn't see much future for himself. I was like, well, I'm a mapper too. And it's like, what? You know, where have you done that? Like, that's the kind of things what you can say. You know, it's really pretty powerful. That transformation is there. Like, but like I say, you've just got to have them people to believe in you and see past that. Have a bit of faith in you, haven't you?
And you do that, Kevin. You do, and I know that I've been alongside you these last few months, and I shout you out every week, don't I? But you know, me and Kevin have been out there on the streets during COVID, haven't we?
Yeah.
And you know, them conversations that we have with a heart full of belief in people who the system has wrote off.
Yeah, exactly like
And we you know, we go there, we have the conversations, and I love Kevin just says to me, just need normal talk, like girl talk, you know, like it's like I don't do pink, but you know, I just think you're an absolute unsung hero, dude, and you make a difference on them streets. You absolutely do. And as you were speaking, I written that unsung hero.
Yeah.
I have no money and I can't bear gifts. Give you a badge, and I'm going to give everybody one tonight for fearlessly getting vulnerable on a digital platform and giving the hope shot. And I'm going to email you all one.
You have to post it.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna post it.
Sound. You can give me
And
that
what you
Monday
got
or
to do-
Tuesday or something.
Yeah, and you can give it away to somebody. You know, just we only keep what we've got by giving it away. But
Yeah.
absolutely, Kevin, you are a pleasure to work alongside. I'm so glad you're coming on the team. I know you're an asset and you'll be sadly missed. But also, what's great about you transforming over is that you bring the relationships with you and you'll build upon that.
Yeah, it would be good.
The 9 carat gold as well. The 9 carat gold. So play them in. Okay, let's because we're nearly there. Tonight we've got Glenn still to spin the wheel. We've still got Andrew Powell to tell us about Healthy Heroes. I think Andrew, we want you to close the show because that's like critical. And then we're going to leave you all with a tune. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you for coming on. And thank you for all the stuff you do behind the scenes. We do appreciate you. So, Glenn, over to you. Let's spin the wheel and then we'll come to Andrew and the reflections guys can play us out on a tune.
Yeah, no problem. Before I do that, though, I just want to say hi to Tez Mills. He just commented saying he's been a jailhead for years and he's trying to get what everyone's got. So well done to everybody. Reflections are getting a lot of love as well. Helen Price, Raymond Moyes, Sean Penkiff. Also, Denise Holland, amazing guys. Lorna, she loves all the songs from Dominican Reflections, is it? Yep. Jackie Baines, I have. Oh, she's tapped in and it's made her day. That's what she said. She's fell upon it and it's made her day.
Welcome, Jackie.
Because, Glenn, as ever, always throw it on your toes. You've got your own experience of the criminal justice system, sat there in your big brother seat. I know that I've got it on good authority that your transformation has involved buying yourself a nice little R-line with DSG gear Jeep, VW Jeep with a DSG gearbox.
And a nice house.
Top of the range R-line.
Yeah.
Check the fur coat hang out over his chair as well, hanging over the back of his chair.
That's my daughter's that. That's my daughter's that.
You've just bought yourself a house, so you've entered onto the property ladder. There's some of the amazing things that you've done and all with your own story. Tell us a little bit about that, Glenn.
Well, okay. I didn't think I was going to get it chucked on my toes like that, but as ever. So it's a bit mad actually, because listening to Dominic and his brother and also to Carl and that when they were talking about Risley. So my first experience of prison was going up on a visit when I was about 9 years old, visiting people in the prisons. So that was my first experience. And I remember saying when I was young, I'm never going to end up there. Well, I was wrong. So, and then Carl was mentioning Lancaster Castle. I was in there in 2001. So I've been in quite a lot of the Northwest prisons and what have you. Now, when Kev was saying about people believing you, that was it for me, because I never had any men as role models to tell me what was right from wrong when I was growing up. And I was a little shit, basically. And I always got told that I never amounted to nothing and I'd be a drain on society and stuff like that. And I started to believe it, and it was entrenched in it. It was ingrained in me. So I started in the criminal justice system about 25 years ago, and it continued through then. And then I didn't want to live that life. And what it was, I created this image within the prison system of I had this image of I didn't want to get vulnerable, because like you said, and it was mad when Carl was talking about Red Bank years ago, you couldn't get vulnerable in them sort of places because it was used against you if you got vulnerable. So when I entered the criminal justice system, I didn't want to get vulnerable because I didn't want people taking the piss out of me, bullied, whatever you want to call it. But my transformation was when I did get vulnerable and had them honest conversations with people. So I come out and I refer it to peeling back the onion. So basically, a consequence of my actions was drug use, but that's not what the problem was. I had to peel back that onion and learn about what was wrong for me and stuff like that. So I got vulnerable. I went back to studying, and I got believed in, and people started to believe in me. And I still have to check myself now and again, and still and look back at myself. But what that did for me, and that transformation did for me, is I started believing in myself. And that's what gave me the confidence then to move forward. And I entered into employment, started off volunteering, did that for quite a while. And I still didn't believe that I was worthy of getting a job, and people was encouraging me to go for jobs and things like that. But I still didn't believe it anyway. I ended up getting a job, and then I just progressed through the ranks that way. And I had debt. £20,000, £30,000 worth of debt, and I'd never believed I had an house when I was younger, and never believed that I'd be able to achieve that again. But I have, and it's took me a long time. And I'm not going to sit here and dress it up and say that it was easy, because it wasn't easy. But I wanted it. I mean, if you want it, and that's my thing of people that from the criminal justice system is a massive passion for me, because I want to show people that you can transform and you can change your life around, because I have done it. And yeah, I have bought an house, only a small house, but it's my house, and it's for my family, it's my children. And yeah, I have got an R-line. I've contributed it. I've not bought it outright. I've contributed to it. So it's a lease car, but I've had to contribute to get that sort of car. But I have bought my own house, and do you know what? They're mine, and nobody can take that away from me. The only person that can take that away from me is myself. And by me doing what I do on these sort of platforms and in the community, and that keeps me well. So yeah, so my message to the guys in the prisons and that, I was in them prisons, and I was turning around, and many people will know me from the prison system, and I was the ones acting all this within the prison, or I'm not vulnerable, I don't show weakness, but that's where recovery is at, when you get vulnerable. So that's a bit of my story, so I'll leave you there.
Yes, Glenn.
Nice one.
Nice
mate.
one. See?
Okay. So do you want to spin the wheel, and then we'll give away a prize?
Yeah, no problem. So I just announced last week's winner. I wasn't here, so you have to bear with me here. So Daniel was here and did the wheel last week. So it's a lady called Michelle Hanley. I've not sent the voucher out yet, because like I said, this is my first week back, but I'll make sure that gets sent to you. It was on its way. So well done, Michelle. So I don't know what everyone's internet's like, so if it doesn't spin the best, and what I will say is this week's wheel is for the people who shared last week. Yeah. So all last week up until today. So if you want to enter next week's wheel, you've got to like and share. And it's not just like or share, it's both of them. And you've got up on Saturday to do that. And then I'll put you into a wheel or name generator, whatever you want to call it. And then you can enter, and you will win a £20 voucher, or someone will win a £20 voucher. So here goes, people. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's already populated. I've done that pre-this. I've entered everyone's name who liked and shared from last week. So I'm just going to press it and see who wins this week's voucher.
Where's Emma? There you are. Yeah, in white.
Emma Ibbotson.
Oh.
Emma Ibbotson. Well done. Does anyone know Emma? I
got excited at the Emma part and then realised it wasn't Daggers.
Right. Okay. Well, a £20. I will make contact with you, and a £20 voucher will be on its way to you. So it'd be great if you can get a picture when you get it and send it us back in. I know that some people are okay with that and some people aren't, but it's just to show that they are being sent and they are being received.
Oh,
brilliant.
Nice one, Glenn. Listen, you're getting a lot of love, Glenn. Lorna just adores you. Lorna, I love you, Lorna. Raymond Mars is saying, well done, Glenn. Deb Taylor, evening, Glenn. How far you have come. You are now an amazing example of how you can transform. I'm so proud of you. So are we, Debs. So are we. Keep on going. Humble to hear you, Glenn, from Denise Holland Radcliffe. Oh, you just loved, dude. You just loved, and you heard it here first. You want it, you go get it.
Thank you.
Okay, we are nearly there. Andrew Powell, you have been so patient with us.
Yeah, dude.
I think, you know,
Aw.
I think it's really important that we introduce people to this platform, but also people who are going to have an instrumental effect on the prison population. Now, when I was in there, one of the things I noticed was that we had a lot of servicemen and women, not, well, maybe I would have liked to think. Servicemen, there were lots of,
He said there was.
lots of people from the army.
Married quarters.
And you know, it's just really important that we understand the mindset of someone who's grew up in the forces. It's different because it's a different kind of institution to prison, but one in which they recognised they could survive a bit. They struggled. That my perception was they struggled in community when they tried to make that transition from the forces to the community. And addiction caught them, and they ended up in the criminal justice system. I know that's broadly speaking, but you've got a service now that provides some housing support. That's right, isn't it, Andrew?
It is, yeah. I mean, first, I just want to thank you for allowing me to come on here, and a big eye and a shout out to everybody who is going to be watching this. Within the prisons, inspiring, privileged. Just a couple of words for me to be here and listen to people's stories. Genuinely, to see and listen rather to some people's stories of where they've been, what they've done, and then where they've come to. And honestly, I'm genuinely lost for words. I really, really am, because you are all absolutely amazing and such an inspiration to others that might feel that they're in a position to not be able to get somewhere and be someone. You can all be somebody. And if you look at these guys around you here now, and girls, and listen to their stories, God, the world's your oyster, and you can become the person you want to be. So yeah, I'm absolutely privileged to be here. So thank you very much, and well done to everybody for getting to where they are as well. I grew up in the military. My dad was in the military when I was very young. I moved around quite a lot, and then my mum and dad split up when I was about 2 or 3 years old. He was having an affair with the next door neighbour, so that kind of rendered my family homeless then, for a better word. We was in Germany at the time, so we had to move halfway across the country back to Burnley, which is where I'm from. And then, kind of find our feet, and then end up living in a house with my grandma and granddad, and things weren't great. I was quite young. My mum was struggling quite a lot, and as we grew up, we grew up in an estate where there was a lot of criminal activity, not a lot of drugs, and we just kind of found ourselves falling into that sort of way of life, if you will. Now, when I grew up, I was never in a position where I was carrying out criminal activity. So I kind of come from the other aspect of it. That kind of came to me a little bit later on, but I was a little shit as a kid. Never did what I was meant to be doing at school. My mum tried her absolute best, and she still does now, and she's an amazing woman. And I just never did anything when I was at school. Little shit through primary school, left school at 14. There's all kinds of stuff going on at home with like sort of domestic violence and stuff like that. So I ended up leaving home at 14 and being homeless, to the point where I then moved to Newcastle and found my dad, strangely enough, trying to reconnect with other people, because I felt like I didn't belong where I was. And I found out very quickly that I didn't belong up there, and I turned to drink while I was up there. I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic, but I was a managing drinker, but I was working at the same time, and I lost myself while I was up there. No one was interested in me, and I quickly realised that wasn't my place as well. So I then moved back to Burnley, and then joined the military at the age of 16. So I had an absolutely fantastic career in the military at 16. But you know, prior to kind of all of that, and during my time in the military, you know, I got caught up in a lot of violence, football violence particularly, fighting on the streets, going out of a weekend and just thinking I could knock everybody out, and you know, it got me in a lot of trouble. You know, and if I didn't join the military, you know, with all of that, then you know, I dare say I could have quite well been part of the criminal justice system myself. So you know, the prison service, the military service served me very well, and I had a really, really good career with that. And I only left in 2013. And the transition, so Pete, you spoke about that transition. You know, soldiers leaving the military and joining the civilian world find that transition incredibly hard. Not everybody, but you know, quite a significant number of veterans do find the transition hard. You know, joining the military at 16 and leaving, you know, at 30 odd years old. In the military, it's very regimented and detailed, and you're told what to do, when to do it, what to wear, and you know, this, that, and the other. Bills are all paid for, and then when you leave, you've got to do all that yourself. And it's unbelievably difficult because you don't know where to turn to. And when you do turn to somebody, you know, it's very much that computer says no, waiting lists, waiting times, get behind the back of the queue, and that in itself, you know, creates huge issues. So you know. You know, I was an infantry soldier, so I fought on the front line. So I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan and all of that. You know, so kind of the things you do and you see, and then when you leave, with all the civilian world stuff piled on top, you know, it exacerbates, you know, your whole anxiety and your depression and your post-traumatic stress. You know, coupled with, you know, everything that happened right back at the start of your life. You know, if you've been through adverse childhood experiences, that's just a massive chaotic, you know, atom ball. And that's when it tends to go off when people, you know, when people leave the military, you know, in that struggle. And, you know, with mental health issues and PTSD, you know, comes then, you know, ironically with a lot of drink, drugs, and, you know, you then start falling into that way of life. And, you know, the criminal justice system for some is you know, where they do end up. Many end up on the street homeless and trying to tap into services for help and support. And so what we do now as an organisation, Healthier Heroes, is provides that support for veterans and their families and the wider armed forces community. So it's not just about, you know, me as a veteran and my wife and children. You know, so I've been through separation of families as well. So I lost my family a few years back when I left the military in 2013. I lost my children, so that exacerbated things as well. You know, it's about that whole family package for us. So supporting with mental health, well-being, drug and alcohol addiction, you know, recovery, you know, sort of the residential side of it. You know, even just little things sometimes like filling out passport forms or driving licenses, or, you know, taking somebody to the doctors because that anxiety is that bad. You know, they just feel like they can't leave the house. So being able to turn up and take someone and fulfill that goal for them in that day, you know, is a massive thing for us. And I've obviously struggled quite a lot. You know, I've been down that dark road. You know, I once got nicked for battering a copper with his own truncheon at a football match. How the hell I didn't end up in jail for that, I have absolutely no idea. Well, I do know, actually. I had quite a good barrister and a representative from the military, but you know, that's sort of by the by. And it's a struggle. It is absolutely a struggle. So I now want to give back. And I've been there and I've done it, I've seen it, and I want to give back and I want to help and support people. So it's working with services, you know, because I am by no means an expert. You know, I can help people, but I can't help people without others. You know, so working with, you know, Pete and that with your team at Red Rose Recovery to deliver services like that, you know, that's absolutely fundamental in the service we deliver. It's been able to bring people in like that. You know, homelessness, you know, dealing with that. You know, we've just managed to purchase a property in Burnley, which is the old Elizabeth Street project. You know, so we can accommodate 25 veterans in there, whether they're homeless, vulnerable, leaving the criminal justice system, you know, and house them and support them and wrap a care package around them to enable them to fulfill their full potential, you know, and move through our programs and intervention programs to then basically come out the other side as, you know, another positive role model within their community, fully independently living with a property, with a job, you know, and that sort of thing. And, you know, I can't do that alone. You know, I need people around me, you know, that the experts within that, and that, you know, that's what we look to do. And, you know, certainly within terms of the criminal justice system, you know, I'm trying to develop a peer mentoring program. Not trying, but I am developing a peer mentoring program with an organisation of a guy who set it up, who was released in 2014, off the top of my head it was now, and he was released from a 25-year IPP. And his career and transition since he left has been unbelievable, absolutely phenomenal. Honest to God, you know, it's just amazing. So to be able to develop someone like him with something like that with him is going to be a massive sort of success within the criminal justice system and through the gate programs for us. You know, yes, I work with veterans, but you know, this is not me saying I want to go into prisons and work with veterans and veterans alone, because you're going to create a community of mentors behind the gate, which are veterans, which in turn are then going to help others out. You know, we're going to end up having a massive community within that, where we provide them with the right skills and qualities and the right intentions to do the right thing. So when they leave, you know, they leave with those right morals and core values and standards to be a model member of the community again, to reduce reoffending, to help them not to fall back into that way of life. Yeah, I mean, I just want to help. I just want to do everything I can, really, for anybody, and, you know, particularly veterans. But if veterans help others, then wow, yeah, unbelievable.
That's brilliant. That it sounds like, you know, we would describe that as building critical mass, huge numbers of peer mentors who are an army. They're ready to receive these people when they make the transition through the gate. So when do you come online with that 25 bed accommodation?
So it opens on the 5th of December, but it might open sooner yet. The official opening is the 5th of December. So the building works are going to be complete on the 1st of November. So if I can basically get it all sorted out with, you know, all the furniture and office stuff and all this, that and the other in earlier, then I'll open the doors earlier. Because I know already now that there is a need for that form of accommodation.
And where is that, Andrew? Is that in the east, did you say?
Yeah, East Lancashire in Burnley, on Elizabeth Street.
So if we've got people who are going to be released and are thinking Burnley's, that's where they're going, how would they get a referral into the assessment for that accommodation, Andrew? So
it's either through a professional referral, and we even take in walk-ins as well. You know, obviously, if you're even in the criminal justice system, you're not going to be walking anyway. You know, you should be brought with somebody. But yeah, absolutely, professional referrals. Pete, I think I sent you some paperwork and that anyway, so we can obviously kind of sort of distribute that. But I think the important thing for everyone to understand is this building's in Burnley, but it's to service the whole of Lancashire.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, anybody within Lancashire, you know, if you're a veteran, can, you know, just tap into us.
Right, okay.
Brilliant.
Have you got hold of that, Kevin?
Yeah,
of course.
He's nodding. Yeah, he's on it.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Andy.
No, thank you for having me in, and thank you everybody else for your stories and your journeys. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, really, for coming on.
The hope shot, overwhelmed.
So
full of hope.
Guys, I'm going to have to love you and leave you. I need to jump away now, but thanks again. Really, really appreciate it.
We're going to close with reflections, aren't we?
Reflections are going to play.
Quality as well, by the way.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah. So over to you guys in Leeds to play us out, and we'll say that's it for the night.
Thanks, guys. Love you loads.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. the top.